Well, hello. Thanks for coming back to check out another video. So, we are here today to do the second update, if I'm not mistaken, to the hardest project pan. Now, that is probably what I will keep referencing it in the title as, but last time or the time before, Misty came up with this brilliant name for it, and I'm going to say it this way because this is how I hear it in my head, but the I don't wanna project pan, and I absolutely love that. So this was inspired very much by Becca. I'm going to leave her and Misty in my description box, and I highly encourage you to go and check them out. But Becca had put out a video where it was like, these are the harder items within my collection that I want to use up. And so that really gave me the push to do this. So while Becca is not doing like a, full on I'm putting all my hardest items into one project pan, she is sprinkling them throughout all of her project pans. So you will get to see them in that way. But I just wanted to make this my year-long project and see how many of these harder items that I could roll out of my collection. So I think I have 6 in, and that's probably the sweet number where I'll keep it at. And so how I decide what does it mean hardest, that's a very subjective word, right? So it could be hard either it takes a long time to use up. Think a powdered highlighter or a powdered blush. If you have ever finished off one of those in its lifetime, my hat goes off to you, because that is not an easy feat. So hard like that. It could be hard I just really don't enjoy this. It's not so terrible that I need to declutter it. I just need to use it up, but I need that push to do it. So hard in that sense. Or hard in the sense of this costs a lot of money and I'm saving this for a rainy day. I know we all do that with certain items. So however you feel hardest matches, in case you want to follow along and do this for yourself. Like I said, this is my year-long project pan and I update it monthly. So let's first talk about the items that are rolling out. I have met my goal on. And typically my goal for everything in here is going to be to finish it off. So this one is not as exciting to talk about. It was super close to being done last time, and I think last time I gave you guys the option between another a pressed powder and a loose powder to replace this, and so we've already kind of rolled in the item that's going to replace it. But either way, I was working on the Brighten Up banana powder from Essence, and I did manage to finish this off. This is an empty shiny pan, and I have to say, you guys, this is the first Essence product that I've ever had in its life where the packaging hasn't broken. So I am really glad that I got that out of my collection. I had originally bought that to use as a powder to set my under eye concealer, and it just never worked. It was too yellow, you could tell that you had a powder on. So how I ended up finishing it off was an all over face powder, and it was okay. It didn't really help the longevity of my makeup. It didn't tend to help it set down, and it was I really like to set down my face, especially right here on my cheeks. That way I can make sure that my blush, bronzer, and highlighter blend out a little bit easier. And that really, this did nothing to help accomplish any of those things. So it's not something that I would rebuy. It's not something that I would recommend. And I'm just glad that I finally have it out of my life. Alright, so everything else in here has just usage goals on it. I don't have anything else finished off. So the first thing we will talk about is the bareMinerals concealer powder, and I had mine in the shade Bisque. Now I did depot it into this container because the little packaging, I had finished off the well rested one, and there was still a ton of product left in that, but you can pop off the backs of them. Someone had commented that on an empties video at one point of mine, and I really appreciate that comment. So I popped off the back of the well rested and the Bisque and just mixed them together. Now I do have to say, when I popped off the back to the Bisque shadow, some powder fell out onto my lap in the floor, and there was just no saving that. But I think that that's fair. So even though I lost some of the Bisque shade, I added in the well rested. So it's I kind of made up for that lost product. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I took a picture of this after I put it into here, but hopefully you can see down in there, there's just not a lot left. I really think that if I just continue to use this consistently like I have been in the past month, this will be rolling out by next time, and I'm super excited about that. So Bisque is a more pinky tone shade, and I really don't like it. It feels just a little too pink on my face, so I don't use it as an all over setting powder. I've still just been using it to set down my eyeshadow primer, but the eyeshadow primer that I have been using has more of a yellow base to it, and so I feel they kind of neutralize and cancel each other out. All right, so let's talk about one of the highlighters that I brought in. So this is from Natasha Denona. This came from one of her little duos where it has like the blush and the highlighter, and I depotted it. So the last time I showed you guys, like we had really good pan on it, but I was telling you like, oh, it's kind of flaking and like getting, like I'm wasting product, you know? So the recommendation that I got was just to crush it up and use it as a loose powder. Now, I have done that. I can't really, because the packaging is like so tiny, like if I tip this it's all going to like spill out, but I have like crushed it up, put it into here, and the amount of uses that I've gotten on this highlighter are kind of low for this month because I just kept putting off crushing it up. I was like, I'll get to it later, I'll get to it later, and then I finally did it. So I haven't really worked on that highlighter all that much this month, but still used it a few times, still pretty proud of it. So we will also talk about the other highlighter that I have in here. Now this is from Ofra. This is in the shade Pillow Talk. Probably my favorite, not even probably, I did rank my highlighters. This is my favorite highlighter, but I could wear this all day, every day. So this is what it is looking like now. Hopefully the ring light doesn't wash it out too terribly much, but I'm just continuing to like, this is the area that I focus my brush in. So I think you can tell like the pan is expanding downward here. Like we're pretty close to side pan, which would be amazing. I think once I hit that, then I'll just start, you know, moving along this way. I don't experience any like problems with this crumbling or flaking, so I don't feel the need to repress it, and my highlighter brush is kind of small. So I think even as we continue to use up product, especially if we just start going around the outer ring here, I don't think that I'll ever have to repress this. Now, never say never, but I just don't foresee myself having to repress this. So yeah, this is absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite highlighters. I could wear this all day, every day. I don't have it on today though, but typically I have been wearing it every day. All right, so let's talk about the two blushes. So obviously blush is really hard to finish off, but then I also just wanted to like finish off this palette. I don't know if these two blushes necessarily were the ones that I would have picked to finish off this year, but they made the most sense because they come from this Hourglass palette, and as you guys can see, like I have finished off the 4 other powders, so I just want to finish this and get it out of my collection. Not that it's a bad product, like I really have been enjoying these blushes, but it's just time, you know, like there's no need for this big bulky packaging to continue to hang out in my life when I only have 2 little blushes in here. So here they are. The darker shade is Surreal Halo, and then the more pinky shade is Pure Effect. I have really been enjoying mixing these together. I am a super bad project panner because I don't have any of these products on my face right now. That's okay. I've really been enjoying mixing these 2 shades together. So this darker one, Surreal Halo, is very much like a blush that I would wear in the fall or the winter. And then the other one is a little bit too pink for my liking. So I've been mixing, like I said, either the 2 of them together, or I'll mix this more pink one with like some other peachy tone blushes within my collection. And yeah, it's really hard to show you the progress on these because the palette is like super awkward, like it's just hard to move around. So these come and they're very much like a domed product, and when I look at them I can tell that they are getting flattened in there, and I do wear these quite consistently throughout the month. I can't wear them like every single time I do my makeup, like they're not like the Ofra highlighter, but I do get a lot of good use out of them, and since they are on the smaller side, I really do think that I could have them finished off by the end of this year. Okay, so the last item to talk about, this is a really short and sweet update because yeah, I didn't really have anything new to roll in, not a lot of progress, but that is just the name of the game when you are working on harder items. So it seemed like when I went back through and read the comments, it seems that like the Too Faced translucent, or the Too Faced Born This Way translucent powder won out. It was either like this, or do you want to see me work on the Hourglass powder that I have in the shade Dim Light? And a lot of people said like, this is older, like get this out of your collection, and that totally makes sense. So that is what we are rolling in. I just kind of like, I used this a few times throughout the month, but I didn't like track my progress with it. I didn't like make tallies or anything. Like I was just switching back and forth between a lot of my powders and just trying to like cycle through them before starting to really commit in on this one. So I did mark it with a line on the back of it. Sorry if you can see any puppy hair. There's still like some stickiness on the back of this, but that's okay. Yeah, so we're probably at the halfway point. I really think that since we're at this widest point, this like the progress that we're going to make is going to be a little bit more quickly than a typical loose powder, because we've already used up over half of the product. So I don't foresee, like, this isn't going to be rolling out by next month, but I really don't foresee this kicking around any further until June. So I would love to know down below what you think will be the next item that we finish off. Like, I'm super curious to see what you guys think. And of course, I just appreciate your support, following me along, cheering me on, because I greatly need it to, you know, keep doing this and keep using up these products. And I just kind of spit a little bit. So on that note, we're going to end it. I hope you guys are having a good day, a good night, or a good whatever. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.